Hello and welcome to the International Press Review. Florence Villemino joins me in the studio. Hello, Florence.
Hi.
So we're starting with the Arab press because the situation in Syria, is continuing to get a lot of attention internationally. I will get my words out. This after the Organization of Islamic Cooperation decided to suspend Syria from that body, didn't it?
That's right. We're going to start by looking at Gulf News and how they're reacting to this. Now, they applaud the pan-Islamic body's decision to suspend Syria, and as well as this wide expressed revulsion at al-Assad's brutality. But according to Gulf News, this is the minimalist option, and it fell short of what was expected. First of all, it wasn't concrete enough for Gulf News. It didn't contemplate a ceasefire or any kind of real end to the crisis there, and also it wasn't a unanimous decision. So according to Gulf News, this is proof that al-Assad is a real thorn in the flesh for regional leaders, and it also is proof that the situation in Syria really highlights divisions in the region in general.
Of course, Iran, the dissenting voice there. Now, staying on the diplomatic front, there's an interesting piece in the International Herald Tribune today by the acting permanent representative of Russia to NATO.
That's right. His name is Nikolai Korchunov, and he likens foreign intervention in Syria to opening Pandora's box. And he says that it will lead to a further escalation of the conflict in Syria and in the region in general, and also it could give ideas to other countries that want to skirt around international law. Now, he says Russia's message is very clear. Any dispute should be settled by peaceful and political means. Pouring oil on the flames of internal conflicts will only bring more death and destruction. He says opening this Pandora's box, it will be impossible to close it, and it could lead to the collapse of international law in general.
Same kind of rhetoric as we've been hearing from Russia before. Now, speaking about the Syrian conflict spreading to other neighbouring countries, a lot of the international press focusing on Lebanon today.
That's right. Lebanon is getting a lot of attention in the international press today, and we're going to look at an article in The Guardian by the Middle East correspondent there, David Hurst, who says that Lebanon's fate also hangs in the balance, and he says that a collapse in Syria would seriously alter the politics in Lebanon, first of all, by shifting the internal balance of power. He says that currently what's happening in Lebanon is that the main fault line that was traditionally between Christians and Muslim now mirrors actually the region at large, so between Sunni and Shia Muslims. And he says that unfortunately this could have very fearful consequences for the country. It could really tear the country into tiny pieces, according to him.
Let's shift to another big story of the day, rising tensions between Japan and China, of course, over those disputed islands in the East China Sea.
That's right. Now, the islands are known as Senkaku in Japan, Diaoyu in China. I'm sorry, I'm probably not pronouncing them very well, but they're at the heart of the very diplomatic row that we're seeing today. Now, they're uninhabited, they're controlled by Japan, but they're claimed by China. And yesterday, Chinese authorities arrested 14 Chinese citizens from a Hong Kong-based vessel after some of them staged a protest by landing on these islands and planting Chinese flags. Now, we're going to take a look at how the Chinese press is reacting to this. China Daily, it's on their front page. It says that Beijing demands the activists' release, and their editorial is dedicated to this. They say that it's outrageous. Japan is going too far with its latest provocations. It says that these Chinese citizens were just sailing to assert Chinese sovereignty over the islands. It says that Chinese citizens have a right to visit Chinese territory and that Japan has no right to arrest Chinese citizens on Chinese territory. So they're very clear about the fact that this is Chinese territory. And it says that Japan should free them immediately and is shooting itself in the foot if it doesn't. Now, there's a slightly calmer tone in the South China Morning Post, which is based in Hong Kong, which points out that these contested islands are on rich fishing grounds, may lie on oil and gas reserves. But this article says that diplomacy, not nationalism, is the way forward in island disputes.
Interesting stuff. Now, the incident has added to a recent flare-up in tensions between Japan and its Asian neighbours more generally, especially South Korea, about history and territory.
That's right. This comes as Japan yesterday marked the 67th anniversary of Japan's surrender in World War II. Now, several officials went to a very controversial shrine in Tokyo known as the Yasukuni Shrine. It's on the cover of the Wall Street Journal Europe. Now, many people blame Japan for distorting its history and, in fact, to some extent, putting a veil on it and changing its history for future generations. And according to some people, this could explain a rise in nationalism. And there's an interesting piece in the Mainichi Times, which is a Japan daily, which calls for older generations to hand down their war experiences and the history of war to younger generations to teach them about war, because this could be a means of making peace.
Important that they don't forget. Thanks very much, Florence Villemino, our press reviewer. That brings us to the end of In the Papers. Stay with us here on France 24.